Alright, Travis Wingoodsell. Man, got back from a run. Ended with a little light rain with heavy drops, which was cool. But still listening to my Steps playlist, as I figured out I have to go through files in order to get them. I don't know if many of you younger folk remember a guy by the name of Jim Jones. He was a religious leader in San Francisco and in the 70s, and decided to take his little band of followers down to, what was it, Brazil? Somewhere down there. He called the place Jonestown, and had a People's Temple in Jonestown. But you might recall the phrase or the concept of don't drink the Kool-Aid. It comes from Jim Jones. It's used in context today as to not get fooled by cult religions who ask you to do harmful things to yourself, such as drinking Kool-Aid laced with poison that murdered everybody in his religion, as he had to assassinate a congressman and a reporter to keep it all covered up. The abuses that were going on. Now we have a president who thinks he is a religious leader. He himself said, "I'm the chosen one," and has been in contact with a Chinese fundamentalist Christian group that believes he is the chosen one. That's where he got it from. And instead of Kool-Aid, he's asking his followers, those who believe in him, the Trumpites, to drink bleach, also a poison. And then we come to Russell M. Nelson. Oh, Travis, get him. Or don't get him, because we're Mormon. So, yeah, Jim Jones was an apocalyptic cult. Trump has brought about the apocalypse with coronavirus, just as Moses had a coronavirus when he took his lawsuit against Pharaoh of Egypt. But Moses had his people stay at home. Is that what Governor Herbert is doing as the leader of the people of Utah? Is Governor Herbert protecting Utahns by keeping his people at home and protecting them by providing them with food during this crisis, or allowing a relationship with the church to feed the people since the church has welfare square? No. Nope. He put Utahns back to work, forcing Utahns to again expose themselves. Doctors have already been telling us in advance that if we open up, everything will seem fine for about 3 weeks. We won't notice any drastic changes, but then 3 weeks from yesterday or Friday, we'll have a huge boom in hospital visits again. And as we are not tapering off in Utah, as we are still climbing in Utah, it's going to be an even bigger boom. We've already had 3 that I know of. I've had to report 1 that the state of Utah is refusing to report, the men's shelter. who have had outbreaks. And so, in essence, they are poisoning us with a bacterial virus, contagion virus, instead of having us drink Trump's Kool-Aid. But what about that idea that I just presented with you, and what they could have done? What the rest of the nation could have done? I mean, if we had done it right, we would no longer be in this situation. But we didn't do it right. They purposely escalated it. They brought it in, fostered it, or festered it, and escalated it. Purposely, to exterminate us. And so, Russell M. Nelson, as a medical doctor, knew in advance, did promise you something like that, didn't I, for Nelson, as to what he knows and when he knew it. And I'll just put it simple to you. When he announced in his first general conference that he was building a temple in Russia, that was when he was brought in to the inner circle of doom so that he can do Trump or Putin a favor. Sleeping on my left side on a daily, nightly basis is resulting in a sore right shoulder. And so, Mormons believe that their tithing is going to save them right now. Armageddon, this is it. This is what Malachi was talking about. And so, how is your tithing paying off for you? I know not everybody is unemployed in Utah. But they're trying to create a further inequality in our nation, as Mitt Romney is now proposing that we pay essential workers higher wages. What about the people who are unemployed? Are we going to pay them more for welfare? Yeah, I didn't think so. And so, yeah, the Great Divide is getting greater. Fire insurance for tithing. Mormons have been led to believe, because that's the way the church has redesigned it, that paying tithing was going to guarantee them membership in the church, so that when the lots are divided, the property lots are divided out to the Mormons, they can show that they're a full tithe payer. They can get a land of inheritance in Zion, and that they'll be safe and protected in Zion. Well, they've come to believe now, because the church has led them to believe, because the church is no longer interested in going to Missouri, let alone Illinois, let alone Kirtland, as it kept changing as they had to move. Need to use my left. And so this is the city of refuge, the city of peace. And yes, that's a big joke, isn't it? As murders are on the rise, as the rich elite are punishing the poor, not wanting to give, and torturing and murdering the poor. Like I said, 2 out of the 3 homeless shelters have had outbreaks, and we aren't even finding out about the 3rd homeless shelter. What about that one? So yeah, if the other 2 have outbreaks, it goes to show that the 3rd one also had an outbreak, and we're just being kept out of the loop. But the 3 shelters combined, you guys already know this, and if you don't, you can watch my videos where I go over it. 700 beds. And you think, wow, that's a lot of beds, Travis. I mean, they're really taking care of the poor. Yeah, well, what did the road home originally have that they closed down? 1,100 beds. Do your math. They were purposely trying to kill off the homeless. And why? Because they were panhandling at Temple Square in Utah. That was the whole purpose of this, was to get them murdered, gone, so that they can leave the church alone. That's why the Gateway Project was developed. Left. And so, what was Malachi really talking about, though, when he talked about the fire insurance for tithing? I guess I need to go to it, shouldn't I? And we'll give you our little church sermon for the day. Old Testament, final book, Malachi. And interesting, he has Son of Righteousness as in Son in the heavens. I'm going to use my left. I need to tie it behind my back. Oh, that feels good. Arising with healing in his wings, which refers to the Egyptian symbol. And some people say, no, it's Assyrian, Travis. No, it originated with Egypt first. Gotta go to the chapter 3. Will a man rob God? Does God really need money? No, he doesn't. So what are they talking about here? They're talking about the organization on earth. Well, what is the organization on earth and what is it used for? Is it used to just become trillionaires, as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is? That's what they say. Literally. Parable of the Talents was what they claimed was their justification for being exposed for just 100 billion in tithing last year. Remember those days? Seems like a lifetime ago. Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. He's separating out tithes and offerings. 2 different kinds. In the law of Moses, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of offerings. But ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me. Oh, we're cursed, huh? And if you see the context, where he says, I will open up the windows of heaven. The windows of heaven were opened this morning as it rained. That's what it's referring to. So what is the curse? Famine. Because of drought. And so this is what's being talked about here. When he says that the last days are a time of burning. Burn as an oven. Well, what causes famine and drought? Burning. Intense heat during the summertime that kills off the crops. And so, no rain. And so this is the context that you need to be understanding this passage with. So he's talking about the people of God who are farmers, they're agricultural society, an agricultural society, and they're suffering under an intense heat that has caused a drought, that is not giving rain and is destroying their crops. And so here's Malachi, messenger, that's what it means in Hebrew, of the Lord, and he's instructing his people how to get out of the drought, out of the curse. Bring ye the tithes, not the other offerings, the tithes. The tithes are both food and drink offerings into the storehouse. Now we can understand storehouse from the context of Joseph in Egypt, where Joseph of Egypt interpreted Pharaoh's dream, which identified 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine caused by a drought destroying the crops. And so Joseph recommended to Pharaoh, build storehouses during the times of plenty to store the excess grain, the interest, the surplus. Not the whole wage, not a tenth of the wage, the surplus. That's what a tithe used to be, was the surplus amount. Not even a tenth of the surplus as it was in the Doctrine and Covenants. And there's some doubt as to whether that was really Joseph who gave that, as I did the video on that. Because Joseph the whole time has been pushing for this law of consecration and tried to get the bank going just for that purpose, but the bank collapsed. That there may be meat in mine house. Meat is food. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. It's not a blessing by just putting hands upon the head and saying, oh, you're going to be prosperous, you're going to be rich, and everybody thinks happy thoughts after that, and nothing happens, and then they go, oh, I guess the guy wasn't worthy. I want somebody else who's worthy to give me the same blessing. No, blessing is a consequence for doing the right thing and fulfilling it, making it happen in reality. This is the process. His economic system is the process, and the results are a blessing which is being taken care of during times of famine. That there shall not be room enough to receive it, and I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Here's another interesting weather phenomenon. When you destroy vegetation, you cause a burning of the earth. And we know this, but the people who are doing it to make money are trying to deny it and say, no, the earth's not, it's all a hoax, it's a fraud. Climate crisis, nah. But yeah, you take away plants, then they can't absorb the carbon dioxide that animals and humans put into the atmosphere. And then the plants can't put back oxygen into the earth. The oxygen then mixes with the hydrogen to create H2O. Water, and thus creates the clouds up above and the rain that falls. It's not complicated, but people need to be told in religious terms what is scientific. Alrighty, and so why isn't the church helping out? It's because they don't care about you. I've been telling you that. They're the church of the devil. Literally. Watch my other videos. Literally. What does the church of the devil look like? How can we identify it? How can we know the church of the devil? Would it have the devil's name? No. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. So it's not going to have the wolf's name. Hey guys, I'm a wolf. Ah! Yeah, exactly. The sheep would know the wolf if he came as a wolf. And so these fraud imposters are purposely going to look like sheep. They're going to look like men of God. They're going to talk the talk. They're going to tell you to walk the walk, but they themselves don't walk the walk. They themselves steal from you. And that's what they've done. They've stolen from you. Because what are they doing with the money? Is it to give to Jesus, like they're saying they're going to do with the parable of the talents? Because that's what the parable of the talents literally means. The Lord, Jesus, gives money, talents, to 3 different guys, different amounts to each guy, and then says, invest it, get me more. So yeah, that's what Jesus wants. He wants money. So that's what the church has been doing. So that when the Lord came back, the 2 had produced more money from what they invested in, and the Lord let them keep it and go on to exaltation. We get to take our money with us in the afterlife? I guess that's what it means, because that's what the church is saying. So that Jesus wants his kingdom in heaven built with the tithes of the people. That's why when they came out with that statement, I was just like, what the hell? But, I mean, are they going to build Zion? Because they didn't use that money to pay for the restoration of the Salt Lake Temple. They've already got Zion here in Utah. What do they need the trillions of dollars for? Why are they just holding on to it? Is it for a rainy day? It's a rainy day this morning during coronavirus. Why aren't they spending it? What is going on? And I've already done that kind of a video already, but I hope you understand now. They were saying in the beginning, oh, this is going to be temporary, but that was all just talk, because Nelson is a medical doctor. He knows about children needing their shots as a baby to protect from certain kinds of viruses that require just one shot, and that's all you need for the rest of your life to be protected. This is one of those situations, those viruses. It's brand new. And once we get the virus, the vaccine, or get the vaccine for the virus, should never have to worry about it again. And babies who get born will get the coronavirus shot from now on. But it's going to be a couple more years. And Nelson knows this. It's not temporary. He knows. He knows that if he went without paychecks for a whole month, and yes, they get paid. Remember that scandal not too long ago, not too many years ago? Irene's paycheck got leaked. He's got $1 million home in Bountiful with Irene. He's got $1 million home in the hills of Bountiful, right by the temple. They purposely put it there so that their property values would increase. And you know, what is the purpose? And we see from Joseph of Egypt that the purpose was to create a surplus during times of prosperity. And the church did that. They created a surplus in times of prosperity. But now during a crisis, as they know this is going to last years, because they are recognizing that they had to eventually shut down the whole church because Trump escalated it. But why aren't they opening up the storehouses? They closed them instead. This is the time. They should have had a surplus of food stored up. But instead, they're blaming Mormons. Mormons did not provide a surplus of food, as we used to tell you long ago. We wanted you to be self-reliant. Is that what's being talked about here? No. Malachi's not blaming the people for not having a surplus for themselves. Parable of the talents, I guess you could say that. But 3 people does not constitute the whole church, does it? And that's the whole point. Is that the church is to help people physically and spiritually. That's the whole purpose for Welfare Square. That's the whole purpose for the kingdom of God, to have an economic system to protect from famine, drought, devastations from natural disasters. Last week was tornado week. It's probably still going on this weekend. Those people are suffering even more now because they have no shelter. And where's the church? They closed. And is the devourer being rebuked? Nope. But Nelson had us pray and fast. So, that's not going to solve the problem. See, right here, people have to do the work necessary to put the excess, the surplus harvest into the storehouses. By not doing that, they got cursed. And so the church, they collected the surplus, but now during the crisis, they're letting people die. And they say, well, coronavirus, well, how do we can't give it to people. They can't come to the bishop's storehouses. They got to keep social distancing and blah, blah, blah. Do we not have the technology to have an online order system where we can have people deliver the boxes of food ordered to people's door? And of course, it's a Welfare Square, so nobody pays as they shouldn't have to pay during this crisis, as the grocery stores are forcing people to pay. Well, they're unemployed. How long is that going to last before they don't have money to buy food from the grocery stores anymore? How long? And how long do you think it's going to be before these people who no longer have money to buy food and who are running out of food, what do you think they're going to do? Are they just going to roll over and die? Or are they going to fight for survival? And are we going to blame them for being violent, vicious people who need to be hunted down and murdered for their daring to get food to survive? You see what's going to happen not too far into the near future? That's what Trump intends for us, to turn on each other, rather than turn on him who caused this. Because when you're starving, you're not thinking about going to Washington, D.C. to petition Trump for a redress of grievances. You need food, and you need it now. And that they know that. That's why they're doing this to us. We will be suffering, and the church will still be closed. We've already got the murders happening here in Utah. The guy who couldn't hire any more people because nobody's hiring for landscaping, and so the guy decided that if he's not going to get hired, he's going to murder him. Murdered him and his wife. And then there's been other shootings, and there's been a house fire. And it's going to escalate, guys. Why? Because people ran out and bought guns. when coronavirus hit the news. Utahns went and bought guns. Nelson's sitting on trillions of dollars, and his Mormons are suffering, and he blames them. He blames Mormons who are suffering, rather than opening up the storehouses during this crisis. And Mormons get mad at me because I tell them that. Mormons want me dead, so that I can be silent, so that they can continue to commit crimes against Mormons and others without me condemning them, judging them. You can't judge us, you gotta walk a mile in our shoes. Yeah, 50 years I've walked in Mormon shoes. Yeah. I think I count. I think I qualify to judge. I think I'll use that for my title rather than the other ones. I noticed that nobody is going to my creative titles. There's some breaking news stories in those. There's some revelations, discoveries, or whatever in those that you were missing out on. Walked shoes to judge. I'll have to figure out how to word the title. So that's pretty much it. It's just a repeat of earlier versions I've done, but now it's no longer a warning of what's to come, like they originally were. Now it's, we're in it, I told you so. And you guys don't want to listen to me because you're suffering. I understand, but there's nothing I can do for you. Judge First ran away. And so I can't take care of you like I had intended to once I won against the church. So, yeah, now we have to hope for a natural disaster so that we are not tortured any further by a government, because the whole nation is destroyed by natural disasters. That's what we now have to hope for, which is a horrible thing to hope for. But that's the only thing that's going to save us now, is destruction, so that we can rebuild and form a new nation with a new government. I recommend following a constitution for once, rather than the crap that we claimed we were following a constitution. And a new economy and a new religion, not the satanic one that is killing us off. But that's just me. What do I know?